Google knows where you live, who you talk to, and what you're interested in buying.
And now they'll know your health habits and heartbeat as well. Stay tuned for your daily charge.
Welcome to the Daily Charge. Today is Monday, November 4th. I'm Alfred Ng.
And I'm Bridget Carey.
And here are today's top stories. Google on Friday announced it was purchasing Fitbit for $2.1 billion. If you're not familiar with Fitbit, it's the fitness wearable your relatives gave you as a crappy gift because they thought, I don't know, he definitely walks every day, right? So while your Fitbit might have gone straight to your junk drawer after New Year's Day, that dumb little wristband tracking your heartbeat and your steps every day turns out to be pretty valuable to Google. Wearables to Google are like what, your New Year's resolutions are to you. The tech giant keeps making these promises and then decides, screw it, it's not worth it. Meanwhile, Apple, it's been in the gym, it's been getting waterproof for swimming. It's out there, it's saving people's lives with fall detection. So Google, they clearly want a piece of that pie. The problem for Google is, though, people think they're a creepy company with privacy concerns after privacy concerns. Why the hell would anyone think, oh, now this company will know my health information? That rules. To their credit, Google said it won't be using any of that data for advertising. But Fitbit is already being used by insurance companies to track people, manage how much they pay on a monthly rate. There's a lot of health data that can be used, outside of advertising. So I think this really begs the question, does this ruin Fitbit for a lot of people now that, they're owned by Google?
There's a couple of things you hit on that were smart, like with the what is that data going to be used for? Okay, not ads, but people kind of forget is that there's not a lot of HIPAA protections for your health data when you're using gadgets like this or even apps out there. So yes, this could be stuff that's shared with your employer on like how much you're active, like when it comes to not just Fitbit, but all these things. But then again, you said, okay, Google's a little creepy, right? On the creepy chart, though, I think Facebook leads. People think maybe Amazon's creepy. They were the butt of the SNL joke this weekend, too, with Jeff Bezos and everything. And then where does Google play? Are people really creeped out about Google, or they go, they got everything anyways?
I don't really buy into the creepy scale. I just think, like, if you're creepy, you're creepy. Like, that's it. But, yeah, a lot of companies use the we're not going to use this for advertising thing as some sort of like red herring or straw man kind of argument of, well, we're not selling this to advertisers. Facebook does this all the time. We don't sell your personal data. And it's just like, well, that argument you're kind of taking away from the actual issue here, which is, okay, cool, you're not selling it, but you are certainly like using it in ways that we don't like think is very privacy friendly. Google talks about this with the remember when they got in trouble about the facial recognition stuff where they were purposely targeting homeless people and people of color to test out their facial recognition?
Yeah.
They weren't selling that for advertising either, but they ended up, just taking all this like very valuable data off of people that like you can't like replace that. People like to always say like, oh, like what's the monetary value of your privacy, right? Like, oh, if they're selling my data, I should get some of that money. Problem with that is that, that's a very limited resource. Once I sell my privacy out there, like it's out there. It's not like I can keep selling that for like $5 a pop or something like that.
Yeah, it's basically like it's already out there. All you can do is like put a tourniquet on it and try to stop the bleeding.
So there's definitely a lot of privacy concerns with Fitbit, like regardless of the fact that they're using it for advertising or not. Fitbit has also had some of their own privacy troubles. There was the data track, like the location data stuff with the apps, where they was revealing like, oh, these people with Fitbits outside of army bases, that's where the hidden army base is.
I just wonder, right, I remember that. Yeah, I wonder how much of this is going to play into these arguments you're going to be hearing over the past couple or next future months. People want to break up big data, like is this going to get on people's radars, or is it like another case of, oh, I didn't know Fitbit was owned by Google, and oh well, it's just steps, right? I don't know where it's going to hit in people's weird out-o-meter.
Yeah, I think it's going to take time. I do think though that people like are sufficiently creeped out by Google, despite the fact that they still will use Google Maps to find out wherever they need to go. And now, now Google will also know how often you sleep at night, which is very cool. Giant companies definitely need to know that information.
I love starting my Monday off with
if any of your relatives get you a Fitbit for the holidays, now you know what to yell at them about. Speaking of yelling, hackers have been targeting Facebook accounts that spend money on advertisements. Unlike the normal account where you you just spend time getting into arguments with your uncle about climate change. Facebook ad accounts have extra value because there's a credit card attached to them. We found multiple instances where hackers took over accounts and started using another person's credit card to promote posts on Facebook that have malware on it. One of them was for this like toy wagon priced at 99 cents. At least 813 people clicked on it and put their credit card information in, which then got stolen. The hacked account's ad campaign only ended because the credit card used for it expired, not because it was fraud. The hackers on this account were trying to spend $10,000 a day for an ad campaign using, someone else's money.
This was fascinating for so many different layers. You have like the hackers going after people, and then when they find out they have access to make ads, bingo, let's just fill, a bunch of ads for phony products, and then 800 or some people clicked on those ads and who's giving their credit card information to weird, suspicious ads on Facebook.
The way that this scam worked, this particular scam for this wagon worked, was that they made it look like it was a pricing error. You ever see those posts? I was like, oh, like somebody messed up this post on Amazon. This thing that's usually $500 is only $50. You should get it right now. So they made the promoted post look like that. It was like, we're selling these toy wagons. Oh, this one is 99 cents. Oops. And then all these people like just rush to buy it.
That's always the key, right? Do something fast, don't think. Quick. Yeah. And then you're not thinking it through.
Yeah, the campaign only really lasted for 6 hours because not because it was a scam, but because Facebook, hey, this guy's out of money. Cancel this.
Well, what is Facebook? Are they doing enough to like scan for if an ad is going to malware or something malicious?
So when I reached out to Facebook, they said that they have been like clamping down on it. Like hackers like have techniques. This one they called cloaking, where like they hide the skimmer on the website like really well, so they can't find it that much. So Facebook has been trying to crack down on it for a while, but obviously, like we've seen, like things like this still get through. The other big problem to me that I found was that they weren't notifying these people when their accounts got hacked and they were spending this much money on these accounts. I spoke with another woman who had her account hacked, and she didn't know about it for like 5 days.
Okay, if you have a big ad campaign, shouldn't you get like an email going, "Congrats on your ad campaign. Here, thanks for like it's
exactly.
like when you buy shoes on Amazon, at least you get an email that you bought shoes. If I bought an ad campaign, I like to get alerted.
Yeah, this woman, it's funny. They'll send you notifications about like, hey, are you going to this event? You going to this event? You put maybe, are you going or not? But hey, you just spent $10,000 on this. This looks cool to me. You don't need to know about that. This woman in North Carolina who had her Facebook account hacked, she didn't even know it was going on until PayPal emailed her actually. It was like, hey, you spent like $1,200 on ads and like you've never spent that much money. So is everything good? Are you okay? And it was like, I didn't spend that at all. What the hell is going on? It's weird that like Facebook didn't notify any of these people that like they spent this much money on. Clearly,
hackers have seen that, oh, look, Facebook doesn't notify people. This is easy pickings to like go after.
And their AI like picks up on it too. So in the case of the $10,000 ad campaign, there was a screenshot of it that he showed me where it was basically like, hey, you've only really spent like $250 before, and $10,000 is a lot. Are you sure you want to spend this? And the hackers obviously were like, yeah, like I'm Henry.
Nothing to see here.
Yeah, but it was weird that like, so they obviously can tell when something is going on, but like they don't send any notifications to these victims, and it's awful.
It's a weak spot, and they've exploited it.
Yeah, and then the two people I've spoken with are like not the only ones that this has happened to. There's like countless blog posts about like, hey, my Facebook account got hacked. They spent this much money on my using my credit card. Nothing got settled. Like some of these people are still banned from Facebook, and they can't even go on Facebook and see like what they got banned over. So the woman from North Carolina, I kept asking like, what was the ads taken out for? He's like, I don't know. They banned me after that. So
wait, she was banned for what a hacker did to her account?
Yeah. She was trying to tell Facebook too, like, I didn't post this. Like the hacker posted that. I was like, nah, you're banned. Because it was like a hotline thing that she called. It wasn't like an actual person at Facebook. She actually got her account back after I was reported on this story. But the thing is, it shouldn't take a reporter going to Facebook to get any actual support for people. Wow. I'm not a what is it, like $17 billion company?
Yeah. For real.
Anyway, I think it's time we should take a pause and check in with our live audience on YouTube, Twitter, and Periscope to see if anyone out there has any questions about today's stories. maybe you have a gem to share yourself. If you're a current Fitbit user, are you concerned about what Google is going to do with even more of your data? Has anyone out there ever had their Facebook hacked, and how did you handle it? Sound off in the chat, and we'll tackle as many questions as we can with the time remaining. BVG.
So, have either of you guys ever been hacked in any way, shape, or form? Just kind of curious.
Like in general, or
let's start with in general, specifically social network, and see if you ever had any instance like.
I mean, my
with
friend
your Facebook.
went on my laptop and like posts dumb statuses. I don't know if that counts as a hack. But
Pretty sure
Like
that doesn't
back in the
count.
day when like everyone's like AOL passwords were kind of like exposed. I remember someone going, "Hey, it looks like someone's sending emails from your name, but it's not." And I remember like, but that was years ago. But
Yeah.
still, like,
this is also my friends and I.
I can't do anything about it. I was just like, all right, glad you know it's not me.
My friends
you
and I
know?
did some goofy stuff back when Facebook security was really bad. This isn't technical at all. This is like, don't tell people your mother's maiden names
Yeah,
or like
yeah.
the street that you grew up on. Like if that's back then, the security questions had no like limits to it or anything, so you can make as many guesses as possible. They don't do that anymore now, obviously. But back then, when like Facebook was new, my friends and I like realized like, oh well, we know all these personal details like about our friends, so we just answered the security questions and got access to their accounts. It was fun. I don't think we did anything malicious on it. I think we went on and just wrote like statuses where it's like, I am a big dumbass, and then like there's like, how did they do that? And most people knew about this exploit though, but obviously like nothing technical, but they like took it off.
So, as far as anybody else out there, if you have any concerns about Fitbit and Google, or if you yourself have been impacted by Facebook, we'd love if you would sound off. Impacted by Facebook, if you've been hacked in some way, shape, or form, and how you were able to get help with that. Michael Brown says, as a Fitbit user, I am not concerned with Google having my data. However, on Twitter and Periscope, Drogon2019 says, great, time to get rid of mine. Yan asks,
I think it's a selling point for some people, you know, that
Exactly.
like it was a small company. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a Fitbit for a little bit just because I thought it was like I wanted like a smartwatch kind of thing where I got notifications on it. I think that's the bigger sell of why Google's buying it, more than oh we really want like the fitness data stuff because they
already had their watches
yeah
with
but
fitness
they
stuff,
like
but
they suck at that. Yeah, I mean. I think the reason why I dropped it, and like this isn't about Google owning them, or this isn't about like Fitbit, like as a company themselves, but it's just I really didn't enjoy the datafication of like exercise. It just it was like it made it feel like an obligation for me because I also had the smart scale that we had in our office. Like
Yeah.
I just took it home. If you guys need it back, let me know. But yeah, and then like it would log like your weight like every day, and then like you'd send it to the app and all that stuff, and it was just like, what do I need this for? Like this.
yeah, I had a smart scale and then I just like disconnected the smart part because I was like, I just want to see how much I weigh. Do I really need to chart it? Like maybe.
Yeah.
But now some people obviously have more of a goal in their life and more of a mission. Like
Yeah.
I'm not in that stage of my life right
Yeah,
now.
I think like if you're the type of person that like only really exercises if you see a number attached to it, it's kind of like, okay, cool, like great, do you like that?
I want
that's great for you.
gamification. I don't.
I mean, that's
want,
what it is, though.
But okay, completing a bar or a circle or whatever you call
Yeah.
it is not game to me. Like I want.
I mean, they have games, they have apps like that. It's like there's one, I forget what the name of it is, but it's like a to-do list, but it's like an RPG style kind of also where like everything you cross, you get like experience points for it. I'm serious. This is like a real thing. I tried it and then
Oh, yeah?
I just didn't like it. I was like, I just like doing stuff because I want to do them. I don't want like an app pressuring me to take like steps per day or something.
Ryan says, what could actually happen with Google having data from your Fitbit? I mean,
let's
what are
get
they going to
dark.
do with it? Target advertising based on your sleep patterns?
Well, let's avoid like the advertising part. Just let's assume that Google is true to their word here and they're not using it for advertising. There are still a lot of things that can be done with health data. So for example, like Google had been trying to do health studies for a while now, where again, like the privacy was like all sorts of messed up on that. You can see that in Rich Nieves' article. Like he cites the examples of previous attempts at health tech with Google, but like, yeah, they can take all this data and see like, oh, these people aren't sleeping at like certain times, like in like whatever in New York or something like that. We can like push out like more Casper ads or something like that based on that. So it wouldn't be exactly your data, but it'd
Yeah,
be like,
it'd be an anonymous, but it still is something that they can work with.
yeah, and then like just pushing more into health tech where it's like, oh, we've noticed, you know, oh, like this certain community takes like this amount of steps per day. We can push out, like we can try to like make more products related to like walking or like, I don't know, like a Google shoe or something dumb like that. Like, or in that sense, again, it's not based off of your data specifically, but they can use it to say like, oh, let's like promote like more health and fitness like kind of stuff around this community.
In general, it's been on my mind when this is the time where you're supposed to be thinking about, your updated healthcare at work. And there are just more and more apps out there that aren't protected by HIPAA. They're not an actual doctor. And so your data can be sent to partners in some way, shape, or form. And maybe not today, but, it's not protected. So you got to think about that.
That's the other thing too. That's the other way that like a lot of companies will get out around like they'll get around the lie of saying like we don't sell your data to advertisers, like because they share it for free. Like they're not selling it. But I mean, again, Google is saying that like none of this is going to touch advertising, but they do share a lot of data with partners.
But their profile is about you, Alfred.
Yeah.
How active of a person are you in general? That kind of stuff.
And there's a lot of ways that Google will try to sneak in and like appear as if they're altruistic or just benefiting technology. So for example, Spotify recently had a partnership with Google Home, where it's like if you have a Spotify premium account, they'll send you a free Google Home, right?
Right, I saw that.
So I have like a Google Home, and I listen to music on a lot, and I asked them to play an artist, and it was like, oh, by the way, this guy's performing here in 2 months. If you want to get tickets, like let me know. And it was like, oh, cool. So Spotify has a deal with Google to send free Google Homes to people, and in exchange they advertise like they know who you listen to, and they advertise like, oh, this concert's coming up, by the way. So yeah, I mean, you can make the argument that, well, it's a free product, you can listen to music at home, it's a lot more convenient, but like obviously Google's getting some kind of benefit out of this, and it'd be foolish to think that they're not doing the same with Fitbit.
And also, if you had to compete with Apple, they had to with like the top one, so
and that's
for them, it's like maybe their future smartwatches will be more beefed up.
And that's the other thing too, like even if they're not doing advertising kind of money, so Apple has a deal currently with Aetna. I think it's Aetna. It's in Rich's story about they have a deal where like you can buy a subsidized like Apple Watch through your insurance program, because it's like a health tracker for them. And that's just like a straight direct, like give us money and we'll make these cheaper for like your insurance customers. Fitbit is huge. Fitbit works with a lot of insurance companies, so they could already be doing that. And now Google also has all this data to sell to other insurance groups, where it's just saying, hey, they can subsidize it even more now because they have like all of Google money and not just like Fitbit money.
So what exactly was the big draw to Fitbit, as opposed to, say, like another fitness tracker like a Garmin or anybody else out there?
I think because they're the biggest name. It's the biggest fish to catch in like the fitness tracker world.
And it's already got a lot of people, subscribed, and a lot of accounts. It's like the data's there already too.
And I think most of it is like Google Wear sucks. Like it's just not a good like product.
Yeah, I mean Fitbit works also with a lot of workout machines sometimes when you have a lot of programs out there like Peloton and stuff.
And they also have like their scale. And it works with like a lot of apps as well. Like it's well integrated in a lot of things already. Like there are some fields that Google was like, oh, we can compete on this, like with the Home Assistant. Like that's why they made their own. But I would imagine that they probably would have bought somebody out had they been losing as much as they were with wearables.
Next question comes from Yan. Is this the acquisition that is a precursor to the Pixel Watch?
I mean, it might be. I hope it comes back in like the Pebble. I really liked the Pebble design. I was kind of disappointed when they got bought by Fitbit, but I also don't care about smartwatches anymore.
Yeah, that's what people around here have been buzzing at least. Like, oh, okay, now Google's going to have like a serious smartwatch that can really go up against what Apple's got.
Will this acquisition mean better Android watches, considering how few Qualcomm 3100 based watches there are out there?
I don't know. I'm not sure, because the Fitbit did not work like on like Android OS, and it's gonna be kind of weird to like watch them like stuff, like integrate that in. So I don't know if they're just gonna say like, oh, this really successful product that's been doing really well, screw it, we're gonna like overwrite it with our own like software.
Right. Like, will it still continue to be sold as Fitbit because of the brand recognition and like or will they have on top of that, oh, Google also has a smartwatch? Like, I don't know if they're even going to want to confuse consumers or just keep it the same.
I mean, they do have a bit of a history
Facebook
with
did
that.
with Oculus when they bought it, whereas like it's not really the original Oculus anymore, but now it's like Oculus by Facebook. But then just call it like Facebook VR or something, you know.
Well, I mean, look at what they did with Nest and Home and all that
Right.
jazz.
I'm
They
thinking
couldn't
about
keep
now,
their
now
naming
used to be called
conventions.
Google Nest Minis.
Yeah,
and
everything
Google
is. Yeah,
Nest,
they're
Nest-
like, yeah, Google Home is no more now. Now it's the Nest. Don't call me by my old name.
Yeah.
Oh. Next one's coming in from Brian. He says, I'm worried Google is just going to gut Fitbit like they did with Motorola, which is sad because I love Fitbit as a brand. Is there any risk of that happening, or are they really just kind of looking
Honestly,
to
that
skim some
might
money
happen.
off the top?
That actually might happen.
Like, just take all the knowledge and go, well, doing it our way now.
Yeah, I mean that like I've seen them do that to like a lot of other companies where I was like, oh yeah, I mean that's certainly plausible, and it's not like a money thing. Like how much did they buy Motorola for again? Like they bought Fitbit for $2.1 billion, and for them to just be like, okay, we're just gonna kill this off now. Like that would be one of the dumber buys. But I want to see how much they bought like parts of Motorola.
It might take some years before you see that happen, I would say, because Fitbit has just such good like recognition of what it is.
$12.5 billion. Then they sold it for $2.9 billion. Eesh. So yeah, I mean, I guess burning money is totally cool when you're one of the largest companies in the world.
Wondering if Alphabet can override this purchase from Google if they think that it's not a feasible or fiscally beneficial acquisition.
Well, actually, I don't know if it was technically under Alphabet.
I think it was Alphabet.
Yeah, so maybe
it.
maybe actually we all say Google, but I think it probably is Alphabet.
Yeah, no one's calling Alphabet. Get out of here.
W Blade says, am I the only one who is not creeped out by the Fitbit thing? I imagine one would be able to turn off the transmission of any personal data if you wanted to. What is the situation with opting out now that Google has their hand in the Fitbit honeypot?
I don't know that answer off the top of my head. What you can do and not do because it just happened. You know.
I think that's certainly something on the mind of somebody who is like a conscientious like consumer, right? Like they buy something and they know, like if you buy a product and the first thing you do is go to your settings, you are a very rare breed. Most people don't do that. That's why most people buy like iPhones or like Chromebooks, where you know it's there and it's simple and it's set up for you. And that is why like the state of privacy is in the way that it is like now, where you know, we write a lot of guides at CNET where it's like, here's how you can change your privacy settings to, you know, make sure that Google's not tracking you wherever you go, or here's how to turn off, here's how to opt out of Amazon like Echo, like using your voice conversations for human testing. I have always objected to a lot of those because I don't think that should be in a guide. That should just be how things are.
Default is off.
Yeah. Like, and I don't think Google
but
will
it's
be,
not.
I don't think Google will be doing that with Fitbit, where it's like, oh, the default is that we are not tracking you. Like the default is we are tracking. You have to go to your settings to change that. And I think that's a common fallacy that happens with a lot of companies like Facebook and Amazon and Google, Twitter, etc. will all just say, we respect your privacy. You can go to our settings to change that if you don't want to be tracked. But it's like, if you respected privacy, you would just not track people and then say, you can go to your settings if you want to be tracked. Like, it's like, we don't write guides on like how to not have somebody break into your house. Like, it's just, you assume that no one's going to break into your house. Like, that's just how it should be.
We were talking about, okay, so the question was hitting on creepy. We were kind of talking about creepy. I just keep going back to, is the average person going to be like, well, doesn't Google have everything about me already? And they don't get creeped out like they would if you said, oh, Amazon has a step tracker. And then people kind of go, wait, Amazon has it? People kind of have different red flags for different companies. And I don't know if people are going to think twice about if it matters, if the company that already knows my map and where I'm going also knows, you know, where I'm.
I mean, obviously,
where I'm walking.
like you have to have an acceptable amount of privacy being lost, like for you to use any service online. Again, it shouldn't be that way, but like I can't talk to people if I don't trust anybody, right? Like, I think it's the same way as like, I can't use any
You
of
gotta
these.
live.
Yeah, I can't use any of these services if I don't trust them. But I think the difference is, how much do I trust Facebook with my data versus like Google with my data?
And that trust is a selling point now that Apple's is
Yeah.
hitting me with ads all the time. Like, don't you care about privacy? Then be an Apple customer, And
Yeah.
I wonder how Google's going to respond to that. Probably not.
But yeah, I mean, to note the question though, I mean, I think that there are certainly things that people will blow up about with privacy, saying like, oh, what the hell, even though it's not that bad when you take another look at it. But I think it all boils down to like how much you trust a company, and if you're the type of person that goes and changes your settings immediately, that's amazing. You should tell all your friends to do that as well. But I can tell you that the majority of people don't do that.
We only have a minute or two left, so let's go ahead and try to fly through a couple really quick. Relatively speaking, does Google have a pretty good track record when it comes to data and privacy getting spilled out there? Is that why people are a little more lenient with this acquisition and maybe a little less paranoid?
Any big ones? Any big mistakes?
There was the location data one. I think it was somewhere in Germany or something like that, where they were asked to stop. Oh wait, no, that was the Google Assistant stuff, where it was like they were also using human contractors to test out stuff. And now, like Apple, it's default that you have to opt in to do that. I'm trying to figure out what else, but like location data with like Google Maps, where they put down like, oh, we're not keeping a history of your location anymore. Like you have incognito mode now for Google Maps, but it's like, well, no, it's like Google themselves and your ISP are still tracking you. Like this is a Band-Aid on a privacy concern. I'm sorry, what was the question, Brian?
Their track record, right?
Oh,
like,
yes.
Like how have they been doing? I just think in general the big issues they're going to face are from all this pressure for breaking up big tech. You hear it over and over again, and it's just going to ramp up as the election goes on.
That is the other interesting thing to me, where in the midst of all this discussion about like, these tech companies are too big and they have their hands in way too many different things, Google's like, yeah, we're gonna buy Fitbit.
Yeah, like what are you gonna do, right?
They're like, let's just get bigger while they keep asking us to break up. Yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, Google certainly does not have a clean slate on data privacy. They're a part of the Internet Association right now, which is a lobbying group based out of California. All the major tech companies are on it, and they are actively trying to kill, data privacy protection acts in California. Also very cool. So they've proposed the Internet Association, which is Amazon, Facebook, Google, Twitter, Uber. There's a lot of companies in this lobbying group, but they've been proposing data laws that have no penalties for companies when they violate your data privacy. So you can really see where their head's at on this kind of thing here.
How soon and how much Google features do you think are going to get integrated into Fitbit? Are we going to get notifications, LTE? What do you think we're gonna see out of this?
I would certainly hope that the first thing that they add in is not voice activation stuff with Google Assistant, but I can almost if I were a betting person, I would gamble on that it's not that hard to add a microphone into things. And it's something that they've been trying to build. And what better than to have it, like they put it in headphones, like they're going to put it on Fitbits, and then they're going to be able to collect way more data that way, because now they're no longer using your health data for advertising. They're using your voice commands to your Google Assistant on your wrist for advertising, which is very different.
Yep.
And pivoting real quick back over to Facebook before we shut down. Despite all the issues happening to Facebook, they did just announce that their latest quarter, they had more users than ever. What on earth is happening? I guess people just can't do away with their Facebook account. I'm still technically on there, but I don't actively engage with it for crap. Like, it just exists. If somebody needs to find me, they can find me, but otherwise I don't really use the platform anymore. I don't know what you guys do.
I wonder if they're including Instagram into that, or if they just mean Facebook only. But either way, I know that my Facebook use has completely changed, and because of my own personal, care about the service and their own algorithms, it's very much more focused to what's going on in the interest groups you're in. And being a mom, it's like the moms in my community are going, hey, selling an old bassinet, who wants it? And like that's the kind of use I use. And I wonder if they might say they have more users than ever, but Yahoo groups just got shut down, and people need somewhere to go to be like, hey, who wants this used thing? And where do I go? What doctor do you recommend? And I think people are just using Facebook differently, not necessarily, if it means growth.
The thing that really bothers me about those numbers every time I see them is, where the hell are all these people, like where are you finding people that have not had Facebook before? It's 2019.
Right. I mean, are they okay counting folks in different countries that are now getting on board with different groups that maybe with us in America it's like, oh well, you either had it or you don't by now.
But yeah, I'm just like, what the because they added another they didn't add another billion users, but it was close to 200, 300 million users this year compared to last year. And they're like, who are these people that are signing up for Facebook that have never had one for the last 10 years?
Spoilers, it's everyone you went to high school with having kids and preemptively making accounts for their infants.
I was thinking that, even though it's funny.
Yeah, that's all
I wonder how much of that is true.
So it was so confusing to me. And it's just that number keeps going up. Every quarterly report, there's hundreds of thousands of new users on Facebook. And I'm like, I don't get it.
Is it? Oh. Do they count everyone who killed their account and they come back?
Because I did do that. I might be a part of that rush.
And they're oh, it's a new person. No, it's the same person who just came back.
I always kind of wonder what those stipulations are with the algorithms and tracking. But
I mean, yeah, Facebook constantly jukes the stats on a lot of things. So the way they count video views is if you watch the first 2 seconds of it. So if you just scrolled past it, that's a view. And that's why sometimes you'll see a video on Facebook where it's this was viewed 18 million times. I'm like, how the hell did that many people see this video? And it turns out they've been juking the stats on that.
Shocking. I feel like a lot of platforms do that these days. I know
Twitter
that
does it also. I
Twitter
don't know
does
what
it also.
YouTube's metric is, but a lot of people juke the stats, and then media organizations pivot to video, and then turns out they don't make that much money for it, and then people get fired off of bad business decisions and lies from Facebook and Twitter.
Happy Monday, everybody.
And on that note, let's go ahead and shut the show down. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll be back again tomorrow. Always wonderful to start off such an uplifting week with all this conversation. But until then...
It's real talk, Brian.
This is what you get when you ask me to be on the show. I don't know what you expected.
Me neither. Me neither anymore, honestly. I don't even know why I bother.
So, I mean... Look, don't forget to subscribe and, click the notification button so you can join us here live weekday morning so I can bring down your day. If you have the chance, we have links below to learn more about what we talked about today. And feel free to subscribe to our audio podcast. For The Daily Charge, I'm Alfred Ng.
And I'm Bridget Carey.
Thanks for joining us.
Can't get enough? Check out The Daily Supercharge, our extended post show with special features, audience Q&A, and in-depth reviews. Available now wherever you get your podcasts.